Summer is right around the corner in Pokemon Go, but first, we have the Serene Retreat event, which is going to be our first Pokemon Go event of June. We've got a boosted shiny to talk about. We're going to talk about the bonuses as well as the details, but of course, the main pull of this video is going to be Gigantamax Rillaboom coming to the game for the first time. We're going to discuss a counter guide as well as a strategy to help you guys take this thing down as easy as possible. This is the Serene Retreat in Pokemon Go. Let's get dates out of the way. Guys, this event is going to be starting on Friday, the 30th of May at 10 a.m., running for about 4 days only until June the 3rd at 8 p.m. local time. Building up to Go Fest every single year, what Pokemon do is that they pretty much release about 2 or 3 in-person events, of which this year there's going to be featured events in Osaka, Japan, Jersey City in America, as well as Paris, France. So what they've done for players that cannot attend this event is that they've released 3 different global events, of which the first one is going to be this event, which is going to be the Serene Retreat. We then move on to the Instrumental Wonders, and right at the end we have the Phantom Ruins event, which of course we're going to cover right here with Go With Us. But the 3 main features of this event is that the Gigantamax forms of Rillaboom, Cinderace, as well as Inteleon are going to be making their Pokemon Go debuts, starting with this one, which is going to be Gmax Rillaboom. We're going to cover that in a little bit. Moving on to those bonuses now. Guys, it's going to be half egg hatch distance in the duration of this event. It's going to be half hatch XP. The max particle collection limit, just like it was in the previous max battle days, is going to be upgraded to 1600, as well as when you visit power stops, you can get 8 times the max particles from visiting these power spots. So instead of getting 120 on one collection like it would be on any other day, you could now get 800 for one spin if you like, which is incredible. Trainers can get an increased chance to hatch shiny mana or get shiny mana in field research, as well as for Morlul 2. There's going to be an increased chance to find Morlul in the wild, as well as a shiny boost in field research. If trainers want to upgrade their Serene Retreat experience for a total cost of $2, their main rewards you can get from this is going to be extra encounters with mana, with Morlul, as well as getting 2 super incubators. But stop. There is another bonus attached to this ticket, which is massive, and to be honest, I'm going to slot this tip in right now. Guys, part of this ticket is going to be 1.5 times Hatch Stardust, which in my opinion is one of the most underrated bonuses in the game, and I'm going to tell you why right now. I want you guys to accumulate as many 12-kilometer eggs in your bag as possible. Guys, once you get these 12-kilometer eggs, I want you to put on a star piece and hatch this if you have this ticket to get this bonus. Guys, hatching all these eggs, you're going to be able to get over 150,000 Stardust in just one hatch cycle, which is absolutely incredible. Imagine you could fit in 2 or 3 different cycles in this 3-day event. Guys, you go crazy on those rockets, you could get up to 500,000 Stardust. Please do not sleep on this. That is tip number 1. Focus on the Stardust in this event. But what do we have in the wild? Spawning in the wild, we have Chansey, Marill, Furfrou, Cutiefly, Morlul, Kamala, Hatena, and there's going to be rare respawns for Snorlax as well as Chimecho. Guys, I'm going to slot this in here again for tip number 2. Look out for 2 permanently boosted Stardust Pokemon in the wild. The first one is going to be Morlul, of course coming with that shiny boost, a really stunning shiny. Those mushrooms kind of take on an orangey color. I've actually got 2 in my bag, which is incredible. But more importantly, Morlul is a permanently boosted Stardust Pokemon, which grants you 500 Stardust per catch, and it doesn't stop there. Chimecho is even higher. Chimecho is one of the highest yielding Stardust Pokemon in the game, and it yields 1,000 Stardust per catch. If you manage to catch these on Weather Boost, and because they're going to be in the spawn pool, guys, you never know. If you see a lot of them, pop that star piece along with those hatching eggs. You can see how Stardust in this little event could really start to stack if you play it smartly. So guys, don't sleep on that either. We have featured eggs going down, hatching from 2-kilometer eggs. We have Chingling, Mana, which is of course gonna have that shiny boost, especially coming from 2 kilometers. We also have Spritzee in there, Spritz, as well as Swirlix, a very small egg pool. A global collection challenge is going to be available again to all trainers, where we're going to have to catch and evolve certain Pokemon to get certain rewards, as well as encounters with event-themed Pokemon. We have featured field research going down, and the Pokemon we can encounter there is going to be Mana. That 100% IV for Mana is going to be 490. Moving on to Cutiefly, that 100% IV is going to be 380. Next up, we have Morlul, of course, which is going to be that permanently boosted Stardust Pokemon. That 100% IV is going to be 442. We have Kamala in there, and that 100% IV is going to be 1106. And lastly, we have Hatena in there, and that 100% IV is going to be 369 CP. Remember, just screenshot these numbers if you guys can't remember it during the event. Tip number 3, we're going to slot right in the middle, of course, has to do with even more Stardust, and a little Stardust trick here for you guys. Morlul granting 500 Stardust means that you could stack these Morlul in your stack tasks. If you guys don't know how to do that, I want you guys to give it a red or gold berry and hit the run button. This is the way that you can stack these Pokemon in your stack tasks, and you can stack up to 100 of them, which is incredible. I want you to stack as many Morlul as possible because I have a feeling they are going to be pretty common, and you know what to do on a community day or a 3 times or 4 times catch Stardust event. I want you to catch all of those on the star piece. You're just going to see mountains of Stardust. Just before we get into the Gmax Rillaboom counter guide and how to take this thing down with the best strategy, I want you guys to look at certain targets you want to be focusing on in this event. The first one, of course, is going to be Marill going into Azumarill. Guys, Azumarill is one of the best Pokemon you could use in the Great League. It has a current ranking of 21 with that Bubble, Ice Beam, and Play Rough combination. And because it's that Water and Fairy typing with such good defensive stats, this Pokemon is seriously bulky and a very good one to use. The next one we would maybe look at is getting Snorlax. Now remember, Snorlax is not a very common spawn in the wild, and in the Go Battle League right now, it's not ranked very well. But trust me, there will be a time where with a little meta shift or a little move pool comes into play that really makes this Pokemon relevant again. But more importantly, if you don't have Snorlax Candy, remember to Mega Evolve a Mega Level 3 normal type Pokemon, because Snorlax is probably the one Pokemon in this pool that you can very rarely or very frequently get candy for. So try and Mega Evolve something like a Mega Lopunny, for example, so you can get as much candy as well as XL candy for the Snorlax. Now is the heartbeat of this video. Gmax Rillaboom making its debut in the game for the very first time. But how good is Gmax Rillaboom? Well, the best place to start is of course to look at its base stats. Guys, it has a max CP of 3758, which in my opinion is very impressive. It's got an attack of 239, which is tremendously good for a second stage evolution. We have a defense of 168, which is a little bit lower than normal, and then we have a stamina of 225, which in my opinion is also very impressive. So we can see immediately that this Pokemon is going to be a pretty good tank, but a very good attacker. The fast attacks it has access to is going to be Razor Leaf and Scratch, but I just want to highlight Scratch very quickly. If you look at the timing of this particular fast move, you can see that it's 0.5 seconds, which is very, very important, because remember guys, the max meter only charges off fast moves. So it may look like Razor Leaf is the good move to use because it may do more power, but the other charged moves that it has access to is going to be Grass Knot, Energy Ball, Earth Power, and of course the hard-hitting Gmax Drum Solo, which will be the main grass type move on Rillaboom. With all that said, just like we said with the Scratch, it means that the main DPS moveset on this Pokemon is going to be Scratch, just like we said, as well as the Gmax Drum Solo with a DPS of 24.38, which is very good, and a TDO of 439, which also is not bad at all. As we move on to our counter guide, it's best to look at its resistances, but more importantly, its weaknesses to see which Pokemon are best to take this thing down. Let's look at those resistances very quickly. Gmax Rillaboom takes resist damage from Electric, Grass because it's the same typing, Ground, as well as Water, but it is weak to 5 different things. It is weak to Bug, Fire, Flying, Ice, as well as Poison. So let's look at the Pokemon with the best attack damage. The first one, and of course you could guess it, is going to be that Gmax Charizard. You could then use D-Max Darmanitan. You could use D-Max Moltres. If you have a D-Max Cinderace, that could work very well. And if you recently got that D-Max Entei, the Fire Fang on that is going to do some very good damage for you as well as resist. Remember that when it comes to your attackers, you want to have your max attack leveled up to level 3, because this is the way that you're going to be able to do as much damage, especially when it switches across to that Dynamax phase. So in this case, what are going to be the best tanks stroke healers to use in this game? Well, I would definitely look at something like a D-Max Corviknight if you did manage to get enough Rookidee candy. You could even use Gmax Charizard again because it's a very good tank and it's going to resist a lot of the moves. Of course, Blissey is undoubtedly the best healer in the game, hands down, because it has the best defensive stats, but as an attacking Pokemon, it's not going to do a lot of damage for you, especially outside of the D-Max phase. And then we even have Butterfree in there. Can you believe it? As one of the better tanks to use with that fast move of Bug Bite. And of course, you may have guessed it as well, the Gmax Venusaur is going to be a very good tank for you to use as well. So overall, the main strategy you kind of want to use here, just to give you an example, you could start off with something like a D-Max Blissey, and as soon as it transitions into that D-Max phase, you want to be bringing out your main attacker to do as much attacking damage as possible. Trust me, in a Gmax, this is the best way you can do it. Remember, a lobby can take up to 40 trainers, so try and get a big group of trainers, but strategize. You can't just all go in there and start attacking. We actually heard someone the other day that had 19 trainers in the Machamp battle, but they couldn't do it because they were just attacking. You need to have healers as well as tanks, as well as attackers. That is going to be the best way for you to take this thing down. Once you defeat this Gmax Rillaboom, of course, you're going to get an encounter with Rillaboom, and that 100% IV at level 20 is going to be $18.99. So again, you can screenshot that, but a pretty easy one to remember. But more importantly, you could get a shiny. Now, we're not 100% sure what the shiny boosts are. Apparently, it is around that 1 in 20 mark, but I do have a feeling it's slightly higher, to be honest. Not sure that it is 1 in 20, but if you do manage to get that Gmax shiny Rillaboom, that would be absolutely incredible. Good luck to you guys out there. This is also very important to remember that if you guys cannot play this day and you're only able to stay at home, you can now remote raid these Gmax raids for the very first time. Remember, you're going to need 800 particles to enter into the raid, as well as a remote raid pass. Trust me, guys, this is a huge element into the game, and if you don't have a community to play with, this is your best way to get these Pokemon. And how good is Gmax Rillaboom in this game anyway? Well, I can tell you off the bat that looking at its stats, doing the research we've done, Gmax Rillaboom is going to be undoubtedly, for the foreseeable future, the best grass type attacker in the entire game, considerably beating something out like a Gmax Venusaur, even though as a tank they could be pretty competitive, but as an attacker that Gmax Rillaboom is going to be the best grass type to use. So this is definitely a day you do not want to miss. Very similar to what it was for the Machamp. That is going to be your best fighting type. This is going to be your best grass type for the foreseeable future. So guys, that is going to be it. Go with us. We really packed this video. Really appreciate you being here. We took a little break that we very much needed because, to be honest, it was getting very overwhelming with everything else. Love your support. Thanks so much for being here. Smash that like and subscribe button. We really need you guys to help the channel grow, and we really appreciate your support. Love you. Go with us, and we'll catch you in the next one, baby.